So back to what I was doing. So we're going to say, give us this so hi times, so we can concatenate it with the plus sign, with the multiplication sign, j equals to plus equal to plus var I times j. So what we are doing is this: we want to display this thing in the console. I will first be 1 times j. We also start as j will also start as 1 equals to, we want to show this equal sign, equals to a val I times j, that is 1 times 1. So this is going to say 1 times 1 equals to 1. Then it's going to increment it on and like that till we are done. Let's run this and open in browser. So let's say I have 5 here, I have 7, I will click on this, we have this. So this looks cool. I hope you understand everything we've done so far. So next thing is this: instead of displaying it in the console now, we want to put it on the screen. So let's do that together. I think that's where you most likely have issues with. So let's take it step by step. Number 1, we want to put it inside this div. So maybe I want to put a table in this div. You can say var tab equals to, you can create a table tag, table. Then you say you can give it border equals to 1. Then we created the table tag. Yeah. So we can create our TR here. So this will help us to create a new row. Then this will help us to insert each of the TD in the new row. The first one will help us create a new row so that we can have something like this. The reason we are creating TR here, we're going to do something like this. Help us to create a TR. The reason we are doing this here is because we want a situation whereby our multiplication table looks like this: 1 times 1 equals 1. Then 2 times 1 equals 2. Let's just do 3 times 1 equals 3. Then on the next table we have 1 times 2 equals 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. Then 3 times 2 equals 6. So our table looks like this. What this is going to do is that it's going to help us to create this row. Then this will now help us to add inputs. It's going to help us to add each of these TD. This is a TD. This will be another TD. Then this will be another TD. When we are done with that row, then we're going to go to the next row. Then this will help us create another row again, so that we can add each of the TD. So with that, we have this. Do we understand?
So please come again.
What we want to do is, let me create a table just for explanation. I will delete this table. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 times, TD. Let me just copy this. Paste. So copy this. So let's stop here. times 3 equals 6. Is this what you want? Let me give it a border. Now this is not the perfect thing we need. This should be under here. So we're going to adjust it a bit by saying okay. Then this is what we want. 1 times 1 equals to 1, 1 times 2 equals to 1, and like that, then 2 times 1, and like that. So what you're going to do is this. Here, inside this place, we have access to the first one, to I. You know, each of these, one of these will represent I, the other represents J. Remember, I displayed this in the console the other time. Yeah, let's run it. When you click on this button, let's say I have 6 and 8. So here is the console. One of these represents I, the other represents J. One represents I, the other represents J. I, J, I, J, I, J, and like that. So what you now want to do is this. At this particular place, we want to create the row. Sorry.
Okay.
We want to create the first row. Then we can now add TD in that row. When we are done with that row, we can now proceed again. When we do I++, help us create another TR so that it can go to the next row. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So that it can move to the next row. So we have this TR like this. Then we are now going to add the TD here. We add the TD here. So that was saying console log, we will say plus equal to this. So console TD. If you attempt the assignment, you will understand this better.
Sure. Sure, sir.
Then we have this. So we have this TD, I plus J equals to this. So this will give us, this will add all the TDs. When we are done with all the TDs, then we want to close this TR before we go to another row. This we open the TR here. This will add all the TDs. When we are done, we want to close this TR. So you can just come here and say tab plus equal to, then we can now close it. TR. So we've closed the TR. So that when it goes to the next one again, it can open a new TR. Then we can add all these things again, all the TDs, then close the TR. When it's done again, I++, it opens a new TR again. So when we are done with all of this, we can now close our table. This table that we opened at the top here, we can close it by saying tab plus equals to table. So with this, we are closing that table. Then lastly, we want to display the result on the screen. So here's our div. We can display it inside this place. So we can say result dot inner HTML. We can't use inner text here because we are using HTML tags. Equals to, you can now put the tab there. Tab. So let's do that together. Maybe 5 and 8 or 5 and 9 anyway. So we have this 1 times 1. Now this is not exactly what we want, because this is 1 times 1, 1 times 2. This 1 times 2 should be under here. 1 times 3 should be under here. 1 times 4 should be under here. Not like that. So it's not exactly what we want. So let's quickly adjust that to 1. J, then this should be I. I think that should solve the problem. So let's go again. 6 and let's say 7. So I think it's fine now. 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, 1 times 6. 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, 2 times 6. And I like that. Any question? Now this one method.
No, sir.
Okay. Let's try to use another method again. I will comment this part out, and I'm going to use create elements. So I'll say function create table. So to start with, we can create a variable and call it that. I will say document.
Sorry, sir, what is the shortcut you use in commenting?
You said
The shortcut you use in commenting.
of.
The shortcut you use in commenting. You
Okay,
comment
highlight
the-
everything and press Ctrl /.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. So we want to create a table. So this one will help us to create a table. Then we can now set attributes. We can say tab dot set attributes. We can say let the border be 1. So this one will help us to set the attribute of this table. So just like we did here, border equals to 1. That's what this line is going to do for us. The next thing is we can now look. Then let's just copy this. I think we need this here again. So I less than or equal to C. Then J. J lesser than or equal to half. Then J plus plus. So we've created the table. The next is we want to create the TR. So we can come here and say var TR equals to document dot create element TR. So this will help us to create an element called TR. Then we want to create each of the TDs within the TR. We can say var TD equals to document dot create element TD. So this is going to create a TD. Next, we want to add this part. J times I equals to this part. I want to add it to our code. So that means I want to add a text inside this TD. So we're going to say okay, let's say text equals to document dot, and I'll just add it directly. We can say TD dot create text node. This create text node, it helps us to add a text to an element. Press text node. Then here is the text we want to add. Let's say var text equals to, let me just copy this line. So this is the text. We've created a variable called text. So we now say cd.create text node where we can now put text. So what it's going to do is it's going to add text to this cd, to this variable called, remember we've created a variable here called td to hold this create element td. So this will now help us to add it, and we have the text inside it. So the next is we want to place this TD inside this TR. At the moment, this TD is independent, it's standing on its own. This TR is also standing on its own. But we now want to place this TD inside this TR. So we are going to use something called append child.
Append.
Okay, we can say tr thank you dot append. Okay. What do we want to append? We want to append td. So this we are supposed to place td inside this
tr.
So also, when we are done, we want to place this tr also within this table. So you can come here now and say tab dot append. What do you want to append? You want to append tr. Then when we are done with everything, we now want to display the results inside this place. So we can say outside the old loop now. When we are done with everything, but we are still within this function, but outside the old loop, we can now say results dot append. What do you want to append? You want to append tab. So let's run it. Let's say 7. We have an error. It's not working. Let's debug it together. td.case is not a function. Okay. Okay. Document.create text node. You can now say cd where are my text? I'm coming. Let me first see if this working. Okay, let's quickly fix this part. So let me first talk about what we just fixed. What we did the other time is I think we add this. No, I think it was like this. So it's saying td.createTextNode is not a function. So there's nothing like, you don't add it directly here. Instead, you use document.createTextNode. That's what you just did. Document.createTextNode. So this is going to create a text node called. Then we are putting this text inside it. So next is this. We now want to place everything here inside this td before placing it in this tr. So that's why we now save it as a variable. I can save my text node txt node equals to this. Then we can now say td dot append. What am I appending? We are appending txt node. So with that now, we got this result. So let's fix the last. I think this should be the last bug given, right? We have this node. So this shouldn't be td anyway. Let's see what's going on. 1 times 1, 1 times 2. Yes, everything is fine except this td. Why is it like that? I'm coming. This is append child. Still the same results. Meaning that that's not the here. What's done is the here. Results dot append is appending tab. Yes. Okay, we can just do result dot in a HTML equals to tab. And I think this should solve our problem. Okay, it's not displaying it. Wow. Why is this not working? Documents, sales attribute, this file, this file, this file. Oh, I can say, oh, will it even work? Coming results dot append. ID. Okay, coming. It's saying this TD as text, as ordinary text. Let me try to check what's going on. Okay, so this is where the use. This shouldn't be there. Since we've already used this to create the TD, since we've already used this to create the TD, we shouldn't create it again using this one. So that's where the EU applies. So far and right. So 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4. Any question? So whichever one you want to use, maybe we want to use this, fine, and if you want to use this, fine. So let's go straight to see this work. So I'll delete everything, or okay, I can just leave it. Let's go to a new page entirely for today's work. Today we want to look at something called local storage. Local storage. So let's discuss what local storage is. Local storage is like, from its name, you want to store something locally. You want to store something locally. Local storage allows us to store information on our browser. You want to keep some information on the user's browser. It's not the same as cookies. It's not. Cookie stores it on the server, but here we are storing it on that browser. Then if I keep it on the browser, I can't, let's say I'm currently using Chrome for this class. If I keep it in Chrome local storage, I can't visit it on Firefox or on any other browser. So let's store information on our local storage. Let's see how that works. Well, while doing project, you may not necessarily store information in local storage or much information. It's only meant to hold little information, very little information, not much. You are not trying to keep too many things because you have a database to keep that for you. But local storage is just to hold it for the meantime. Maybe you need it on that. You want to do some things at the front end, that you can keep some things, little information on the local storage. So let's go straight to how it works. And the beauty of local storage is this: if I have a tab and I keep something on local storage, another tab, if I open another tab on that same browser, then that page can use the information in the local storage. It can use the information in the local storage. So let's go. Script. I just say we want to store information in local storage is very simple. I'll say local storage dot. So let's say I want to store num equals to 5. So what I'm saying is this: in local storage, create a property. Local storage is an object. What I'm saying is this: create a property called num, and let the value of that property be 5. Do we get it? Are we together?
So we're
Sir, we're with
together.
you, sir.
Okay, alright, thank you, sir. What you're saying is create a property in our local storage called num, and let the value of that property be 5. So let's run this page on the browser. Immediately we load this page on your browser, instantly it will set this for you. So how will you refresh this page? So immediately not that page. This is the template page. So I will open the browser now. So immediately we load this page, instantly it has set it in local storage. So the next question is, where is the local storage located? Where is it on the browser? To see local storage, press your Ctrl+Shift+I where you have your console and the likes. This is elements. This is control. This is sources. Now click on this arrow, or you can widen this. If you widen this, you will see other things. But if you don't want to widen it, just come here, click on this double arrow. Now, so you see application. That's where we are going to click on application. Then can you see local storage? So click on it.
So we can see it.
Okay. Click on it. Then this is it. All your local storage are stored inside this file. Click on it. Num is 5. When you open yours, well, you may see some other things there aside this. You may it's likely that maybe some other pages have stored some things on your page. So it's possible. I think if you are using W3, if you visit W3 school frequently, it's possible that you may see something like this there. So what is happening is this: we've stored a key called num, and the value is 5. That's what this line is going to do. Let's store another thing in our local storage. I can say local storage dot name.
So
Okay, sir.
I have a question.
All right, sir.
So the question I want to answer is, so as a front end developer, so how does local storage, or so how does a front end developer, or so what is the relationship between a front end developer and this local storage? So what is like, so what do they use it for?
You use it to keep an information maybe temporarily. Okay. How do I say it? Like I said, everything you are doing is just on the user's browser. It's not on the server.
Okay.
In fact, we are not even connected. We are not connected to server. So all we are doing is on the user's browser, not on the server. And in fact, only the front-end developer needs local storage. The server-side developer doesn't need it. The database administrator doesn't need it. Only the front-end developer needs it, because all we are doing is just on the user's browser. Maybe you don't want to be.
Okay.
Maybe you need a value multiple times, and if I refresh, all my variables will be reset. Once I refresh, all the variables will be reset. So you can keep it in the local storage momentarily. Even if you reset it, it will still be in the local storage. Even if you refresh this page, it will still be in your local storage. So maybe you want to do something like that. It helps for things like that. Maybe you need a value so that even after you refresh the page, you still want to preserve that information. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So local storage can help us with things like that. You said? Okay, let's proceed. Let's start another value in our local storage. Here, I have local storage.name equals to Taye. So I will go to the page now and refresh. Immediately we refresh, it's going to store it in local storage. It's not storing it. What's going on? Let's come back here. Local storage.name. Okay, I want to check something. Something is wrong. Let's clear everything. refresh. Something is not right, so let me try to fix what's going on. Is there any bug as well? No bug. Oh, is there? So local storage dot name. Here I use my name. Let me change back to name. The problem is not with the name or anything else. Just behave abnormally. Okay, it wants me to come back now. So name is this. Can you see that despite the fact that we've removed this my name from our code, we still have it here. So it helps you to persist data. Even after refreshing the page, then you still have it there. Next is this. We want to display this information on another page. Remember I said that when the page sets information in local storage, another page can fetch that information from it. It also helps you to communicate across different pages. You can also use local storage to communicate across different pages. So let's go to another page entirely, and I will just delete everything else. I will just delete all of this. Then I'll say open a script stack. I'll say alert local storage dot name. So this page, we go to the local storage and fetch the name, then alert it. Do we get how this works now? We set the value on this page. We are using it on this page. Normally, you can't pass variables like that. For instance, if I have a variable a equals to 7, I can't come to this page and say alert a. It will tell me that a is not defined, right? Right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
But
Yes,
with
sir.
local storage, this is possible. So meaning I can set a value here in my local storage, then come to this page to use. But that's not all. That's not all. Let's now go to more interesting things about this local storage. Instead of doing this, well, there's a longer way to do it, but it's the better way. It may look long, but it's better. See, if you want to keep item in your local storage, you don't write it like this. This is short, but a better way is to say local storage dot set item is an inbuilt command in local storage. Local storage dot set item. So let's assume I want to run this line 9. I want to write it. I will say the first parameter must be a string, num. Then the second parameter is the value we want to keep, 5. So this line and this line, they will do the same thing. If I want to write this line 10 again using this method, I will say local storage dot set item also. Then this will be a string name, and what do I want to store there? So this is a better way to do it. These two and these two will do the same thing. Now, advantage of this is this allows you to put space. I can say name of student. I can't use space with this, but well, I don't advise that you put space. I don't, but it allows you to put space. But you can't put space. It's going to throw back an error. I can say name of student. So that's something about one way. Then, if you let's me keep name of student here, and let's say the name of student is. So let's say we have this, and I will save it and run it on the browser. So we have this. So if I want to use it on this page, how then do we retrieve it? That's the next thing. How then do we retrieve it? You can't retrieve it using this. That's because of the space in between. You can't say name of student. This space will throw back an error. So instead, we are going to use another inbuilt command. We can say local storage dot get item. When we wanted to keep item in local storage, we use the set item. When it's time to retrieve, we use the get item. What item do I want to retrieve? Name of student. So I can can now alert it. If I want to alert it, I can alert it. So refresh now, and we have this. Any questions so far? Okay, let's proceed. Still on local storage. Other interesting things that we need to know about the local storage is this. You can't, let's try to keep arrays in local storage so that you understand this thing better. We want to keep arrays in local storage and array. So I will create an array variable, maybe ARR equals to, I'll keep 6, 7, and 8. So we are keeping this array in our local storage. Normally, you know, if I say alert, hey, index 0, what will I say? Are we together? Hello everyone.
Yes, I will with you, sir.
Okay, if I say alert a index 0, what will
I
I
will with
say?
you, sir. I'm going to say 6, sir.
A index 1, I'll say 7, right? So let's keep this
7.
A in our local storage now. We can say local storage dot my array equals to A. So what we are saying is go to local storage, create something called my array, create a new property called my array, and let the value be A. So this is going to keep this array in the local storage. So let's refresh this page so that I'll be sure that it's there. So we have this array here. Let's now try to retrieve it maybe on this page. We can easily say local storage dot my array, and this is the array. Now next is this. Let's save it as a variable ARR equals to this. So again, we just say alert ARR. So what you're saying is this: go to local storage, fetch my array, and save it as the value of ARR. So this is going to alert ARR. You still see the same results. So since it's an array, then we should be able to get the index 0. And if I say ARR index 0, this should give me 6. Fine. Now this is where the problem now lies. ARR index 1. You expect it to be 7 because it's an array anyway. So, but this is comma. It's not giving us 7. When I say index 2 now, then this will give us 7. When we say index 3, it will be comma again. So what's going on? This is it. Whenever you want to store anything in local storage will always convert whatever you are storing into it to string. It will convert it to string. So what happened is this array at the point of storage, at this point that we are trying to store it in local storage, is going to automatically convert the array to string, and that is the problem we are currently facing. So how then do we handle this issue? Because since it's string down, we find it difficult to use. We won't be able to use it as an array again because it's now a string. So in order to handle this issue, Yorùbá sọ wípé ẹni tó bá mọ àti wáyé kíní kan ló mọ àti lọ ẹ̀. So we are going to use that adage now.
Actually, lower.
Is that? So we're going to use that adage to solve this problem. There's something we call JSON. The full meaning of JSON is JavaScript object notation. You can check that textbook. I think it's a topic on its own. JSON, JavaScript object notation. It's a way of good. We know JavaScript objects, right? We know JavaScript objects. So what JSON does is this: when you
Yes,
convert
sir.
something to JSON, when you convert anything to JSON, is going to keep that data as a string, but it will keep it as though it's a JavaScript object, but it's still a string. Okay, let me put it this way. It will represent this like it's a string, but that string will look like JavaScript object. Do we get the idea? It's a string, but that string will look like JavaScript object. It will be in form of JavaScript object. When JSON was released, it was released as a form of sending data from one language like to another. It's easy for you to use JSON now because when you are sending information maybe to server, you can easily send it using JSON. So when you send something to JSON, it's a string. Don't forget, it's still a string. But that string will preserve, it will be in form of JavaScript objects. So a lot of other programming languages now have included JSON in them, at least as much as I know. Python, or Flutter, Python, JavaScript, PHP, all those ones have JSON in them. So they've used it as like, it has now become like a normal way of communicating between maybe different languages. So I can easily send information from JavaScript to PHP. So maybe if I'm using JavaScript for my front end and someone, the server side, the person handling the back end is using PHP for the back, and then there's no problem. I can send my information using JSON, then the person will also receive it using JSON, since it's in the two languages. Do you get it? Then let's say the person is using another language, then the person can also receive it to JSON, but it is still a string. Now this JSON, the one in JavaScript now, they now created something called objects. Remember, this we have local storage. If you understand what we want to do, we have local storage. This is local storage, this place in Gogolonja local storage. But JavaScript now gave us an object also called local storage in order to communicate with this local storage. The one here is not JavaScript. This one is just a location on your browser. This is just a location. Local storage is a location on your browser, a place where you can keep items. But in order to make it easy to communicate with this local storage, JavaScript gave us an object also called local storage. And this local storage has the set item and gets item that we used earlier. Do we get the idea? There's something called local storage in browsers. In order to communicate with this local storage, JavaScript also gave us an object called local storage to communicate with it. In the same sense also, this JavaScript object notation, JavaScript has also given us something called JSON. In order to convert items to this format, to be in this format, it's going to be a string, but that string will look like that of JavaScript object. It will preserve it to look like JavaScript object. So with that now, we can convert items to this, to JSON, and we can convert item from JSON. So there are two functions we're going to be looking at. We have the JSON.stringify. This JSON.stringify will help you to convert the item to a JSON string. So it's going to be in JSON, but it will be a string. It will be in JavaScript objects, but like it will look like JavaScript object, but it will be a string. So that's the work of this stringify. Then we have the opposite of stringify, which is the JSON.pass. This one will convert it from that string back to a normal JavaScript object. Do you see the difference? They're like what and opposite. This will convert it to a JSON, but it's a string, not an object. But it will look like JavaScript object, but it's not an object. Then we have the JSON.pass, which will convert whatever is in this format, whatever you've converted to a JSON string, it will convert it back to a normal JavaScript object so that you can use it in your code as JavaScript object. Whatever you stringify, you can't use it in your code as JavaScript object. It's a string, it's not an object. But when you pass it, then it will now be converted back to JavaScript objects. Do we get the idea now?
Yes, sir.
Is it confusing? Is there any part you don't understand?
We are still following, sir.
Alright.
So we're following.
Alright, sir. So let's save this as, before saving it in local storage, you want to convert it to stringify. So that's what, okay, we're going to say, instead of saving it directly here, remember this is the part that we got because as at the point of saving it, local storage, we convert it to string. But instead of converting it to string, now we will now use JSON to convert it to string instead. So we're going to say JSON dot stringify. So what do we want to stringify? We want to stringify this variable A. So it will stringify it. Then we can now save this as local storage. You can now say local storage dot AR or my array. Let's use the same name equals to this. So we are converting it to a JSON string before saving it in local storage. So let's refresh now. Look at the difference between the two. Do you notice these square braces around it now? The other time there was no brackets around it. Now we have brackets around it. So the next is, how then do we retrieve it here? Maybe we want to use it on another page. So I can say, let's do something. Let's say index 0. Index 0 now is going to retrieve this array. That array, the one we have in our local storage, is going to retrieve it. So when we say index 0, what do you think we're going to see? This is what we have there. What do you think we are going to see if we retrieve this from our local storage and we say array index 0? What do you think we're going to say?
Based on the array, I guess 6, sir.
Now, it's not going to now be 6. Remember I said what stringify is going to do is it will still be a string. But the difference is it will now be a JSON string, not just ordinary string. Do you get the difference? It will still be a string. So when we fetch this, look at what you're going to see. Brackets. It's even make it worse anyway. It looks worse. At least the other time our 0 still gave us 6. But now we have a bracket. If you say 1, then this will give you 6. If you say 2, it will be comma. So, what's going on? That now lead us to the adage I said the other time. Any two more ati wáyé, kini kan ló mọ ati lọ́ẹ̀. So we use JSON to convert it to string. We are going to now use the same JSON to convert it out of string back to JavaScript object. So we now use the opposite of JSON.stringify. That is the JSON.pass. We now say JSON.pass. So fetch it from local storage, then pass it immediately. So this is going to help us to pass it, convert it back to a JavaScript object so that we can use it again in our code normally. So if you say index 0 now, this will be 6. If you say index 1 now, this will be 7. If you say index 2, this will be 8. So that's the work of JSON.stringify and JSON.pass. Also, if you want to save an object in your local storage, it's also essential that you stringify it before saving it. And immediately you get it back, you pass it. Any question? Any question?
Sir, can you please go back to the other page, sir? The previous page. Thank you. There's no question for now.
Okay, so let's say we want to use set item to do the same thing, to still be like this. Because it does set item. Then I want to set it as my array. And what do I want to keep there? I want to keep this there. So it's going to stringify the for. So line 13 and line 14 are going to do the same thing. They're going to give us the same results. So if you want to get it also, let's say you want to do this, you can say equals to local storage dot get item. What do I want to get? My array. Then you can now say JSON dot pass. You can also first save it as a variable, then pass it, whichever one you find more convenient. But this line and this line will give us the same thing. Now, assignments. We are done with JavaScript logic. We have two things now. All we have left is this. Number one, ES6. Number two, build projects. Number three, algorithm questions. So I'll give us a project to do. This algorithm question will be the very last thing we do. It will be the last thing. So I'll give us a project to do. Then we come to class, look at it. If you are stuck, we discussed it. We are going to discuss it. Then I will teach us, simultaneously I'll be teaching us ES6. So I'll give us assignment to do, project. We're going to build applications now. Like I said, now you're going to build applications that you can push in your Git repo. I mean, interesting apps, banking apps, e-commerce. You'll be building all those apps now. Then, ES6. Then there's something very important that I need to discuss with us. That is array of objects. In JavaScript, a very important data structure that you are going to be using is something we call array of objects. An array that has objects in it, that contains objects. Look at this structure. Name. Let's say title. Department. I'll say software. Then this one objects. Copy. Paste. Kenny. Hardware. Then comma. Paste. Do. Let's say CSC. This is an array of objects. This array has three objects in it. This is the first object, this is the second object, and this is the third object. So if I say, let's keep this, let's say this array as variable this. If I say ARR index 0, what will I say? If I say console log ARR index 0, what will I say?
We should use the first object, which is tire and software.
This object as the result. You have a result that looks like this. So with that now, I can say ARR index 0. Since I know it's going to give me this, you can now say dot name. Do you get it? So this will give tire.
Yes, sir.
So if you say ARR index 1 dot name, this will give Kenny. Then it's also possible for you to save it in a variable. Variable a equals to ARR index 0. So you can now say a dot name. This will give you tire. This is very important. You are going to be using this data structure a lot. Especially, and sometimes you'll be running loops on it. You'll be running a loop on it. Now, everything we're doing so far is to prepare you for this stage that we had. Everything we're doing so far is to prepare you for where we are now. That's why I've always been forcing us to make sure we get things done before we get to this stage. Truthfully, if one has not been doing project before now, I'm telling you, the person we have to use at this point. So all we'll be doing just to get us strong enough for this stage that we have now. So we're going to start building project. The first project we're going to build is a banking application. So let's see what we want in our bank. Number one, we have a registration page. So when I get to the bank, I want to register. I'm going to supply my name, maybe my first name, my last name, and what else? Maybe email and password. So at the point of registration, we get the user's first name, the user's last name, the user's email, and the user's password. Not the password the person's, but I mean the password to register into your own application. So we are getting this for information from our user. Let's go. Next, there will be another page whereby the user can log in. So you can say login page. That will be another page, meaning that this is a registration page. We have the login page. Immediately the user registers, you need to give that user an account number. So you can say, here is your account number. So you display a 10-digit account number. Account number. So after registration, once the registration is successful, registration successful, then you display the user's account number. Also, ensure that this email is unique. That is, no two users should have the same email address. If that email has already been used, you should tell the person that email already exists. Note also that the user is not the one filling account number. The bank, you know you are the bank now. The bank is the one to generate an account number for the user. So at the point of registration, and once that email is unique, that is, that email doesn't exist in our database now. Our database, when I say database now, I'm referring to local storage. Once that email does not exist, then it's going to be successful. Then it generates an account number. Next is login page. At the point of logging in, the user should be able to log in with email or account number and password. So once I log in, it should take me to my dashboard. Once it's correct, that is, at the point of registration, you've given the person an account number, so the person can log in with that account number and the password. You give the user password also. The user will fill the password as point of registration, but you're going to give this account number to the person. Again, no two users should have the same account number. Account number should be unique. No two users should have the same account number. So after logging in now, then it will take me to my dashboard. In my dashboard, let's take things step by step. In my dashboard, you will display the account number, my account number there. Then you will display, just display the account number. When we get to this stage, we will take it to the next level. Or should I give us everything at once, or we take it step by step?
I got how we take it step by step, sir.
Okay, let's do these 3 pages. We have the registration page. On the registration page, we supply the first name, we supply the last name, we supply the email and password. After that, once the person click on register and the email does not exist, it's going to say registration successful and give the person account number. If email exists, that you tell the person, email already exists, so meaning that registration is not successful. Then the person can log in either with the email and account number and the password. So meaning I can supply my email and password or my account number and password. Once that login is successful, then it will take me to my dashboard. Let's stop here. Any question?
There's no question, sir.
So we meet next
Is this class recorded?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is this class recorded?
Yes, the class is recorded.
Oh.
So we meet next